For this explainer, we are diving deep into the latest Global Peace Index. It's this huge, data-packed analysis of how peaceful the world is, or isn't. And, spoiler alert, the main takeaway is, well, it's not great. So why does it feel like the world is on edge right now? Let's get into the data and find out.
Let's start with just one number, 59. According to the report, that's how many active conflicts are happening between nations right now. Now, to put that in perspective, that is the most the world has seen at any single time since the end of World War II. This isn't just a handful of hotspots. We're talking about a truly global phenomenon.
And that number, 59, is part of a much bigger and, honestly, a much more worrying trend. The main finding from the Institute for Economics and Peace is crystal clear. Our world is less peaceful right now than at any point in the last 17 years. This isn't just a feeling or a headline. This is what the data tells us after looking at 99.7% of the entire world's population.
So let's start by really unpacking the data behind that trend to get a handle on exactly how we ended up here.
Okay, let's just walk through the timeline. For a little while, there were actually some pretty hopeful signs. Back in the 2010s, for example, the whole area of militarization, stuff like military spending, was actually getting better. But in the last few years, that trend has completely flipped. And the most alarming number here is for ongoing conflict, which has gotten worse by a staggering 17.5% since 2008. Any gains we made are literally being erased.
So, the big question is why? Why is all of this happening? Well, the report puts forward a really compelling central idea. We are living in an age of fragmentation. Let's dig into what that actually means.
And this really is the crucial question, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing to see the numbers and know that peace is on the decline, but it's something else entirely to understand the deep-down forces that are actually driving all this.
This slide really just lays it all out. It shows this massive shift. The post-Cold War era was really defined by countries working together more. We saw fewer UN vetoes, more successful resolutions, and global trade just exploded. But then look at the period from 2011 onward. That whole trend just stalls. And in some cases, it goes into reverse. This right here is the heart of what they call global power fragmentation. That old cooperative system, it's breaking down. And this number, 34, it just nails the point perfectly. That's how many countries are now considered to have major global influence. If you go back to the Cold War, that number was just 13. So power isn't concentrated in just a few hands anymore. It's spread all over the place. And that makes for a much more complex and, frankly, a much more competitive world.
So what does this fragmentation actually look like on the ground? Well, for one, conflicts are way messier. You have more powers getting involved, so local civil wars can quickly spiral into these international proxy battles that are incredibly hard to solve. Second, remember that hopeful trend of falling militarization we talked about? Yeah, that's over. And third, countries are just not getting along with their neighbors as well as they used to. It's a bit of a mess.
Now, a less peaceful world isn't just some abstract idea. It has a real, tangible cost. So let's take a minute and look at the economic impact of all this.
I mean, this number is almost hard to wrap your head around. Nearly $20 trillion. That was the economic impact of violence on the global economy in 2024 alone. And we're not just talking about the cost of weapons here. This is lost productivity, security costs, and all the long-term effects that just ripple through our entire system.
And to make that massive number a little more relatable, the report broke it down. That economic impact is the same as $2,446 for every single person on the planet. I mean, just think about what else that money could be used for. Healthcare, education, innovation, you name it.
So where is all that money going? This chart is pretty revealing. Almost 3/4 of the entire cost, 74%, is spent on the military and internal security. This is money spent on containing violence, not on creating value. It's just a massive diversion of resources away from the things that actually build well-being and prosperity for people.
And if you dig into that security spending, the single biggest piece of the pie is global military expenditure. It accounts for an absolutely astonishing $9 trillion.
Now, hold that $9 trillion figure in your mind and compare it to this, $47.2 billion. That's the total global spending on peace building. The contrast is just stark. We spend a tiny fraction, less than 1%, of our military budget on actually trying to build peace.
So, the situation is grim, the costs are staggering, and the world is fragmenting. And that brings us to our final section. Where do we possibly go from here? What does the future of conflict even look like, and is there a way forward?
This slide reveals something fascinating. The very nature of war has changed. Back in the 1970s, almost half of all conflicts ended with a clear winner, a decisive victory. Today, that's down to just 9%. And peace agreements? They've fallen off a cliff. Instead, a staggering 70% of conflicts now just kind of fizzle out due to low activity. They don't actually get resolved, they become these frozen conflicts, just waiting to reignite at any moment. The crucial point here is that our old models for ending wars simply are not working anymore. So faced with this new reality, the report suggests we need to shift our whole focus. It's not enough to just chase negative peace, which is just the absence of violence. The real goal should be positive peace. And what that means is proactively building the foundations of a peaceful society. Things like having a government that works well, low levels of corruption, good relationships with your neighbors. It's all about creating the conditions where peace can actually grow and thrive on its own.
And that really leaves us with a final, and I think a crucial question. As the old world order keeps fragmenting and conflicts get harder and harder to solve, is shifting our focus to building positive peace more than just a nice idea? Could it be the only viable strategy we have left? That's a pretty profound thought to chew on as we try to navigate this increasingly unpredictable world.